So today, I come to you as a founder and board member of Our Revolution Maryland. An organization that has grown to over 47,000 members and supporters, including over 7,000 activists. We have 7 local and university chapters from across the state, including Anne Arundel County. Where you at? Right. Baltimore City and the greater Baltimore area. Where you at? Eastern Shore, what's up? Howard County was good. Montgomery County, I know. Prince George's County, how you doing? Western Maryland, what up? There's someone out there from Western Maryland. Thank you for coming the far away. And John Hopkins, UMBC, and UMD. This is a movement. Our legislative agenda, when you open it up, we were handing it up outside, includes Medicare for All as one of our top priorities. And with your activism, we will ensure that every Marylander is provided affordable and quality health care. You know, there's something that many people do not know about me. At 10 months old, I became extremely ill. And thank you. I became extremely ill. And the doctors were unsure of the diagnosis. And it wasn't until 18 months old that another doctor suggested that we do a biopsy. And when the results came back, it did in fact prove that I had a cancer that if not cured or treated had not started by age 2, it would become deadly. After 3 years of medications and radiation and chemotherapy, the cancer was sent into remission. Through God and the state's medical assistance program, I can stand here today. I can tell the story that many people do not have the opportunity to tell. There are millions out there without that opportunity. Millions out there without that opportunity. Those who cannot afford a quality health care, while medical and pharmaceutical companies receive tax breaks, make profits from our pain and our suffering. Disproportionately, let us call it out, the brown and black communities, my community. We must force these companies to pay their fair share, holding our government accountable and implementing a Medicare for All system in Maryland. Please join us. Senator Bernie Sanders cannot do it alone. We need to elect progressives like Ben Jealous, Governor Susie Turnbull, Lieutenant Governor, to ensure that we are all on the pathway to prosperity together. Sign up and become a sustaining member of Our Revolution Maryland. Give what you are able to give and do what you are able to do to ensure that our vision of tomorrow stands. Please go to our Facebook, like it, go to our website. There's something you have to know. We're going to win. History will be made. Yes, we're going to have haters out there claiming that our platform is unrealistic or it's not feasible. And you know what we say to that? Keep making them jealous of our platform. That our revolution in Maryland will never end. You know, it is an honor to introduce our #1 senator in the United States. Governor of Maryland, a close mentor of mine, Senator Bernie Sanders and Ben Jealous. Please
very much for that introduction. And let me thank all of you for coming out this evening.
Love you, Bernie!
That's mutual. Well, a few minutes ago, we met with some folks in our revolution, and some young man said, you know, you inspired me. And the truth is that when I go out and I see folks like you who are prepared to stand up and fight for justice, you inspire me. So thank you very much. Now, in case you hadn't heard, I am here tonight to make sure that Ben Jealous becomes the next governor of Maryland. I just wanted to get that out of the way in case you hadn't heard. Now, I don't have to tell anybody in this room that we are living in a pivotal and historical moment in the history of the United States of America. We are living in a moment when the billionaire class, who have never had it so good, they want more and more and more, and they want that more on top of the backs of the elderly and the children and working people and the sick and the neediest among us. Their greed has no end, but we are going to end it for them. Going on now in Washington is literally unprecedented. We had a candidate for president Let me rephrase that. There was a guy who ran for president. His name was Donald Trump. And Trump told working people in Maryland and in Vermont and all over this country, he said, I understand your pain. And I am going to bring health care to everybody. What he said, and he said, I am not going to cut Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. That's what he said. And he said, I am going to take on the pharmaceutical industry and Wall Street. That's what he said. But it turns out that in every instance, he told the American people one thing and he did exactly the other. So we are here now looking at a president and a Republican Party who had the nerve to attempt to throw 32 million people off of the health care they have. But the American people said, no, you're not going to get away with it. And from coast to coast, people stood up, fought back, and we beat them. And then the Republicans came back and they said, okay, we lost the opportunity to throw 32 million people off of health insurance. Now we're going to go to Plan B. And that is to give $1 trillion in tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations. And while 62% of the tax benefits in the Republican Senate plan go to the top 1%. At the end of 10 years, 83 million American families will be paying more in taxes. And then they want to go to Plan C in a few months. And that is, after they drive up the deficit by $1.5 trillion by giving incredibly large tax breaks to the wealthiest people in this country and the largest corporations, then they have the nerve to come back and say, you know, this deficit is just too high. We're going to cut Medicaid and Medicare and education and nutrition programs and Social Security. Well, we've got some bad news for Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. And that is that the American people are catching on, and we're not going to let them get away with this thievery. On November 7th, 3 weeks ago, Donald Trump's name was not on any ballot in any state in this country, but Trumpism was, and Trumpism lost big time. And if you think that the political revolution is not occurring from coast to coast, then you really don't know what went on November 7th. Yes, it was good that we won governor's chairs in Virginia and New Jersey. That was great. But I'll tell you what was even more important, and that is from coast to coast, working people and young people ran for office. They ran for school board, city council, state legislature. And many of them won. One of the great comments I heard on election night is a high-up Republican official saying, we were losing elections to people we had never heard of. And all across this country, African Americans and Latinos and whites and Native Americans and women and men and gay and straight, we were running for office. We were taking on the establishment. We were bringing forth a progressive vision, and we were winning elections. Which brings me to where we are tonight. We need great governors, progressive governors all across this country. And there is no individual that I know who is running for governor who has the record of progressivism that Ben Jealous has. This is a man who has been there in all of the important struggles of our time. In the struggle for racial justice, in the struggle for economic justice, in the struggle for environmental justice, for immigration justice. He has been there, and as governor of this state, he will be there in a position of real power to bring about the change we need. supporting Ben is not only for what he has done throughout his life, but the vision he has for the future of this state and this country. And one of the issues that is so terribly important is that here in the United States, we have got to end the international embarrassment of being the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of the world. Healthcare is a right, not a privilege. There is something fundamentally wrong, not only that we are the only major country not to guarantee healthcare to all, but from an economic perspective, it is totally insane that we are spending twice as much per capita on health care as do the people of any other country. We are spending $10,000 per person on health care. The Canadians are spending $5,000, and some European countries are spending even less. We pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs, because we are the only country that does not negotiate prices with the incredibly greedy pharmaceutical industry. What healthcare for all and single payer means, it means that mom and dad do not have to worry about what happens when their kid gets sick. It means that when you are 80 years of age, you don't have to worry about whether or not you can afford prescription drugs. It means that if you lose your job, you don't have to worry that you are losing your health insurance. And I'll tell you what else it means. No one talks about this, but this is really important. There are millions of people in our country today who are staying on jobs they do not like because they get decent health care for their families. Think about what it means for our economy and our nation when you can go out and start a new business or do the work you want, and you're going to have high-quality health care for your whole family. Some people think Medicare For All is a radical idea. It is not a radical idea. Spending twice as much per capita on health care, having 28 million Americans without health insurance, that is radical. And I say to the business community, Medicare For All will work for you. Right now, you have decent businesses who are trying to do the right thing for their employees, and they're spending a fortune getting health care for their workers. They're spending an enormous amount of time figuring out which insurance plan works for them, which does not. They're changing plans every single year. If you are a small businessman or a small businesswoman, think about what it will mean to your business when you no longer have to worry about providing health care to your workers, because they're all going to have it as a right. This system is so dysfunctional, so crazy, some of you may have read, Aetna is thinking of merging with CVS. You read about that? Turns out that the CEO of Aetna, if that merger goes through, will pick up a $500 million bonus. We need to spend healthcare dollars making sure that all of our people get quality care, not $500 million bonuses for a CEO. But it's not only health care where Ben has it right. Ben understands that in the wealthiest nation in the history of the world, if you are working 40 hours a week in Maryland, you should not be living in poverty. He's going to fight for a $15 an hour minimum wage. Ben knows that in the year 2017, soon 2018, it is beyond comprehension that women in America earn 80 cents on the dollar compared to men. And by the way, Ben also knows that it is a woman who should be making the decision about what happens to her body. Ben knows based on years of experience how broken the current criminal justice system is. And he knows that when we invest in our young people, in jobs and education, we will save huge amounts of money and save lives rather than building more jails and more incarceration. Ben can win this election, and Ben will win this election. But he can't do it alone. All right? No matter how good the candidate is, you don't win unless there is grassroots activism, and that is you. Brothers and sisters, at this incredibly pivotal moment in American history, our job is not only to defeat Trumpism, that is terribly important, but our job is to give the people of Maryland and all over this country a vision and a hope and a belief of where this great country can go. And it's a vision that says not only that healthcare is the right, but we're going to end the absurdity of so many of our young people not being able to get a higher education because of the lack of income of their families. And we're going to end, I'll tell you a story. If I may, I just want to briefly tell you a story. I was in Morrisville, Vermont on Monday. I had a meeting with some high school kids. And a young girl raises her hand and she said, "Senator, what can I do if my parents don't sign the form to get me a loan? Parents have got to sign that form." And we talked about that for a while. After the meeting was over, a mother came up to me and she said, "Bernie, do you know why mothers are not signing those forms?" She said, "I have a kid who graduated college and another one in college. I am now $150,000 in debt." That is totally insane when you think about the need for our country to to have the best educated workforce in the world. Everybody in this country, not only young people, but in an economy which is in transition, every working person should be able to go back to school to get the education and training they need. And that's what Ben is going to fight for. So brothers and sisters, this election is not only saying no to Trumpism, it is saying yes to a vision of our country which understands that government has got to represent all of us and not just the 1%. Brothers and sisters, I am proud to introduce to you the next governor of the state of Maryland, Ben Jealous.
Say that with me one more time. Let's reverse a little bit. We must. We can. And we will. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the message that my grandmother in 1953, my grandmother who moved here in 41, moved into the McCullough Homes housing projects, went to work for Planned Parenthood. That grandma. Grandma came home to my mom, who was a student in a segregated junior high school in West Baltimore, who wanted to go to Western High School for girls. And she said, Mom, that's the best high school in the city. But they say that students like me, black students like me, they won't let them in. And my grandma said, baby, when there's a will, there's a way. We must, we can, and we will. So Mom signed an NAACP lawsuit when she was 12 years old and desegregated Western when she was 15. A little over a half century later, my grandma is now 101 years old. Said, baby, don't let the sun set on your tenure as president of the NAACP without helping to move our home state forward. And so I stood in front of crowds like this one, and I said, we're going to abolish the death penalty. And while we're at it, we're going to pass marriage equality. And given as we're fixing to be on a roll, well, we'll pass the DREAM Act too. And many other folks tonight who are sitting around saying, Jealous is talking about the impossible. I say, yeah, I'm doing it again. I'm saying to you tonight what I said back then. We must. We can. And we will. And so here we are. Here we are in the midst of a great economic and moral crisis in our country. I come here today to represent Billy, who's over on the Eastern Shore at his desk as a finance manager at his car dealership, trying to figure out once again how he's going to deal with the fact that he has to cut bonuses, cut profit projections, and explain to his employees that once again, when it comes to their health care, they will be paying more and they will be getting less because prices just surged on Billy again. I come here tonight for Ricky. Ricky is homeless in West Baltimore. He goes to church not far from where my family's gone to church for 4 generations. I met Ricky over breakfast the other day. Ricky's been a proud truck driver almost his entire adult life, and then he had this kind of crazy week where he switched employers and he was crossing the street in a car hit him. And he woke up in an ER room, and they explained a few things to him. One, brother, you've been hurt pretty bad. It's going to cost about $100,000 to put you back together, and we'll do it. 2, I know you thought you had health insurance because your employer provides it, but you called him, Ricky, and apparently you forgot to sign the forms. And now you've been terminated. Well, Ricky, yeah, the driver had insurance, but their insurance will only pay $30,000. So we're going to put you back together, Ricky, but you're going to be in the hole $70,000. And now he's healed, but still a little broken, and his financial life has been shattered. And I'm here tonight for Tony. With Tony. Tony, please stand up. Tony, please turn around. Tony's our brother, he's our neighbor, he's our fellow activist. We met out there turning out voters to the polls in the Maryland primary in 2016. Tony saw me speak in front of a room like this just a couple months ago. About a week before that, he was looking forward to getting married, and a beautiful fiancée. The world was their oyster. That night, he came up to me. The room was a room of SEIU members. They were mostly women of color, a lot of them home daycare providers. Tony's a white-collar professional. I didn't expect to see him in the room. He's a good activist. He's always there when we need him. Stands up for his neighbors. Tony walks up to me bawling. I give him a hug. I said, brother, please pull yourself together. I know you're carrying a great pain, but I've got to hear what you're saying. Composes himself. He said, Ben, I heard you say in there that when you were young, had epilepsy. I said, that's right, I had juvenile epilepsy. He said, I heard you say that there were moments when you were very young and moments when you were a young man and you didn't have health insurance and your parents feared that you might die going into static seizures. I said, yeah, that's right. When I was a young organizer in Mississippi, a doctor once, I think the statute of limitations ran out, a doctor once stole medication from me for 6 months because he knew I couldn't afford it and I needed it or I might die. And God bless him. And Tony said, well, a little less than a week ago, I found my fiancée dead in her bed. Her father, who's a doctor, asked me to send him her death certificate. He looked at that death certificate as he talked to me on the phone, this is Tony talking, and he said, yeah, that's right, that's why my baby's no longer with us. Asphyxiation from an epileptic seizure. But let's be honest, Tony, she's not with us because she couldn't afford health care. A 52-year-old, world-renowned psychologist, Montgomery County, Maryland, the wealthiest county in the wealthiest state in the wealthiest country on earth. It's a gap in her life. Can't afford her insurance in that moment. For whatever reason, didn't tell the men in her life she shouldn't have to if she don't want to. She's no longer with us. Tony knows that everybody in this room is committed to ensuring as quickly as possible that nothing like that happens again in our state. They'll tell you that it's impossible. You'll tell them every other Western nation has done it. Luxembourg's done it. And they'll say, no, but we can't do this. Say, why don't you send them to the Rand Corporation? The Rand Corporation is like the centrist think tank that was staked by the U.S. Air Force, real middle of the road. Oregon's a state 2/3 our size. Rand said, can Oregon do this? Not only did they say that Oregon can do this, they said the most expensive option would be for Oregon to just maintain the status quo. They said the public option wouldn't cost much because it wouldn't do much. It would maintain the status quo. And they said that if Oregon moved to a state-based Medicare For All program, it would save approximately $600 million per year. I've been a CEO or a partner in a business since I was 26 years old. I have as much or more executive experience as anybody in this race. And unlike other executives in this race, think that they may have a real shot, I wasn't trained to be a CEO as a politician. I wasn't trained to be a CEO where they tell you, golly gee, if you have a tough conversation, you might lose your job, so please don't have a tough conversation. No, I was trained to be a CEO in the real world where if you don't have a tough conversation about the budget, if you don't get your priorities straight, you don't worry about losing your job, you worry about losing everything. And our health care, our lives is literally everything. And we have the money in Maryland right now to provide health care for all of our neighbors. The overhead is half as much or less when you move to Medicare For All. Your leverage with Big Pharma gets way bigger. The federal government prohibits the federal government from getting you a better deal, but they don't prohibit the states from getting you a better deal. And well, no state has ever been better positioned than Maryland is right now to get this done. We already have an all-payer system that we're looking to expand. It saved us over $429 million since Martin O'Malley put into place. We already have the hospital waiver, one of the big waivers that you have to get. That's done. And while it's going to take us a couple of years when we put this council in place, we get stakeholders around the table, we do things the way that, frankly, the only way I know to succeed is you build a big, robust coalition. You get strange bedfellows at the table. You get everybody in agreement about something bold that will move us all forward together, and then you go get it done. And in those 2 years, between January 2019 and January 2021, I expect we will put a different president in the White House. Jealous is talking the possibilities again. You tell them, yeah, last time I did that, we won big. And when they say, well, you know, other states, they've tried, they haven't been able to do it, you just look them in the eye and say, let's be honest, y'all. We must. We must. We can. We can. And we will. We will. We do not just have an economic imperative, we have a moral imperative. And well, ladies and gentlemen, we are not just any state, we are Maryland. We are the wealthiest state in the wealthiest country on earth. And we are the first state south of the Mason-Dixon to pass marriage equality. We are the first state south of the Mason-Dixon to pass the DREAM Act. gentlemen, I'm still the same guy who was trained as an organizer when he was 18 years old. This campaign, I'm not asking you, somebody to make me governor. I'm asked because what we know as organizers is we don't elect politicians to make change happen. No, we elect politicians to make it a little easier for us to make change happen. I'm not asking you to give up your power. I'm asking you to use your power. And so when we win this election and we put the working families of Maryland across every line of race, across every line of religion, across every region of the state, we put the people of Maryland back in charge of our state's priorities again. We will assemble in Annapolis and we will tell every member of our House of Delegates and Senate, we are here to pass MD care. We are here to get health care for everybody in Maryland. Why? Because we must, we can, and we will. Thank you, God bless.